Yay! We're live!
Professional
the gang
as
is back
ever.
together. We are
Honestly,
so
one of the better
professional.
links we've had.
Anyway, we are Maya Russell-Smith, Carl Henningway, Joe Spagnoli, and Rin Datcheva back for the final ever Morning Glory broadcast. It's a sad day for everyone, I
The
think.
final ever Morning Glory broadcast outside term time. I should also point out the last show that we did together in second term was when Maya Russell-Smith and I did a show called Face Off. We promised to every single listener, which means we promised to 3 people, that Morning Glory was Morning Glory was going to come back this term, whether if we were on campus. So this would have been a thing. Unfortunately, just like everything else, COVID-19 has wiped it out. One thing we also need to point out just at the beginning before Maya comes back is that we're on YouTube, so we can't actually play any music. Thus, most of our content is immediately wiped out. But we have got stuff for you for the next hour or so.
Yes, we usually start the show with Morning Glory by Oasis. We could maybe try an a cappella version of it, but we haven't rehearsed. So.
I mean,
Should I get my kazoo? Wait, should I get my kazoo?
Rin, I am one step ahead of you.
Oh.
Yes, so the first ever time I brought this out on Morning Glory, I can play it with the wrong end in my mouth. But if you need that at some point, it's there. Rin has hers. Maya and Carl actually have musical talent, so we can do that as well.
I don't actually know how to play any of it.
Yeah.
Oh well. But anyway, how have you guys been during lockdown?
Bored.
Nothing.
Rin, go first.
So, like, Raw is the only thing that kept me busy because all of my uni stuff was just kind of 2 hours of reading a week plus a tutorial. So it just wasn't much to do. But I spent thanks to Eurovision, I am still alive. So yeah.
I've been getting every
credit.
Lockdown, I think. Joe and I had exams and dissertations and things. So we're finally finished with that.
Haha, exams.
We're officially graduates, but we don't get to actually graduate because of the virus.
Yeah,
But
that's true as well.
Hopefully, sometime next year, we will be graduating properly with the pomp and ceremony. The doorbell's just rang.
Yep.
Come in.
These are things you don't get in the studio normally. Carl, how have you been? You, of course, lit up Raw 12:51 AM with a disco last night. When I say lit up, you basically smoked out your basement. What else have you been up to for the last few months?
Honestly, I've just been doing random stuff. I've not really done anything. I've worked a fair bit, which is nice to actually have money, and I've just sort of done little bits here and there. Played a bit of golf, done a bit of fishing, done a bit of gardening, done a bit of house making up. What's the word? Home improvement. There we go. Home improvement, painting some stuff. Yeah, I just had a pretty all right time. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, your disco was really, really good. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
The disco was amazing.
Look, guys, this isn't about me. This is about Morning Glory. Let's get on from this. Let's go on.
Carl got 114 views on it.
Yeah, man, that's pretty good.
126. I'll have you know.
126. Sorry, by the end. Yeah, it was.
We're gonna have more on this easy
popular.
Every day.
Yeah, every day.
Every day.
That's my dudes.
Anyway, we agreed to do a rate your breakfast kind of feature. But I've eaten mine in true Maya fashion. I was too hungry to wait. But I do have a picture of it, which I can maybe, hopefully, the picture
Screen
can.
share.
I don't know. This is my breakfast.
What is that?
What
I mean,
is
from
that?
here, Maya, that looks like it came out of the back of something. Honestly, not aesthetically pleasing.
It is yogurt with strawberries, honey, and hemp.
Hemp.
Which is a great protein substitute.
That's what I feed
is
fish.
so healthy.
That's what I throw in the water to get fish in.
Really? Hemp?
Yeah, I mean,
You don't use maggots?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
not for all fish, but you could. Hemp is what they call a particle.
Oh.
Particle.
Well, I've been eating that for breakfast.
You fish, you.
I'm thinking
Carl,
that's
Sorry, Carl is quite eager to get his Rice Krispies out.
Oh yeah, no. Let me go get my.
Wait, have you put the milk in already?
Yeah, no, because I wasn't. I forgot about this thing, so
They're
I put
gonna
it in
be
the
soggy.
fridge with the milk in it. It's going to be mush, but I'm already here for it.
That is so gross. I eat cereal so fast just so that it
Same.
doesn't. It's not mush at all. Like it just has to be eaten right away.
I love this.
Oh, this is
Look
great.
into Carl's life as he.
He stores his breakfast ready-made in a cupboard.
I thought it was a fridge. Or was it actually a cupboard?
It's a cupboard fridge.
You know what though? To be fair, it does have some vague structural integrity, so I'm not going to cry too much. Like it's all right.
I mean,
It's
don't
fine.
cry. You'll make the cereal soggier.
It's like the worst compliment you could possibly give cereal. Vague structural integrity.
Look. So look, let's look at
Also, my lab reports.
let's look at my breakfast here. So here's my crisp rice peas.
Oh, is that?
Oh, that
And then, but because I won't have time to go make cups of tea during the show, right? I have my teapot, my full teapot, and then a cup of tea. I'm smashing
oh my
this
god, I love
breakfast.
the mug. I love the mug so much.
Yeah, Lagrangian, nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to say bonus
I'm gonna
points
say.
for having a teapot as well and not a kettle. That's good.
I mean-
I
form,
just got
Carl.
my mug
I mean, I
here.
use the kettle to boil the water first.
Yeah.
But the teapot has tea bags in it. So
Are
I
you
can just
making
whip
tea
up
straight
tea.
out of the kettle, Joe? Like plop in the tea bag into the kettle, swirl it
I mean,
around.
I haven't cut out the middleman to that extent yet, but it is a good idea. Yeah,
So who
so
needs a teapot? I've got a kettle.
it's a lot better than mine. My plan, I had two plans originally. The first one was to remain on brand as per usual while making just a bowl of linguine. Unfortunately, that is carbohydrates and nothing else, so it would not score well on the breakfast test. But then I remembered that my family, because of course we're Italian, have a bread maker in the kitchen, which we use most days. And honestly, it's absolutely delicious. I can't remember the brand, not that I want to advertise them anyway. But yeah, it's really, really good. So I came down this morning hoping to get some hot, like really, really warm, soft, fresh bread. Put some like vegan butter on it or something, and it would be delicious. It's currently over 70 minutes away from being ready, so I had to improvise pretty quickly. So in terms of sustenance, the only things I've had so far are 2 digestive biscuits, which I'm not even sure if they're vegan actually, so that might even be a problem. And I was going to have a pot of coffee because I only got this back a few days ago. Unfortunately, as per usual, I didn't have time, so I had to go for tea instead. So my breakfast has been an exercise in compromise and time pressure, and I suspect will not score very well overall.
Improvise,
think-
adapt, overcome.
A big plate of nothing is not going to score very well, I'm afraid. about
Excuse
you,
me, 2 biscuits.
2 biscuits, okay.
I made avocado on toast, but it took me like 3 minutes. I don't think you can see anything. I don't want to tilt
see
it because it's
the-
all gonna fall off. But yes. And the only bread that I went to Sainsbury to get and was the first thing I saw was a baguette. So
Baguettes
it's
are good though.
yeah,
They're
baguettes
so
are
nice
good.
toasted. And with some avocado.
Oh,
I
there
think
you
that's
go.
great. And your dog is there. Oh my god.
Yeah, of
He wants the
course,
avocado.
of course. He wants. He started really liking vegetables now. I don't know why. I think he just doesn't want. He wants all the food anyone can ever give to him. So now he eats cucumbers.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a comment here from Enoch, who's said that he rates your breakfast, Joe, but
Thank
he
you.
does say that avocados taste awful.
They don't taste awful.
So yeah, Carl is eating
Unbelievable.
his breakfast.
I'm
How is-
hungry, man.
it
I've been waiting
soggy?
for this.
Okay, well, I think now we're gonna move on to our first feature of the show, featuring some non-soggy cereal. It is time for Serial Killer, and unfortunately, we don't have the fun jingle, so I'm going to improvise it. But here we go.
Improvise it while I go and fetch my accomplice.
Oh my god, it's a serial killer! That's my improvisation of my jingle.
Professional as ever, Maya. We love it.
Professional as ever.
I think we should
today-
always do it like this.
I know.
Yes.
I think so. For those of you watching who do not know what serial killer comprises of, Joe Spagnoni gets blindfolded, and someone will feed him. In this case, this week it is Jack Spagnoni, his younger brother. There he is. So Jack will spoon cereal into Joe's hand, I think. Right, we're doing hand. So Joe has through only the sense of touch has to decipher what kind of cereal it is, and he gets 10 points if he can guess it from the texture, and
So do you want
5
smell
points
the
if he
deal?
guesses
Or do you
it.
want
From the...
that?
Right, so this is the first cereal.
Yeah, I'd also like to credit Jack Spagnoli just quickly because he has stored each cereal in a bowl, but also put a plate over the top of it just to make sure I don't cheat. So that's top class preparation. Oh, okay. So, right, this is from our cupboard, so it can only be one of about 4 cereals at any time. It's a flake of some description. I can actually show the camera, of course, which is an advantage that we don't normally get. If you can't see it on screen, Jack, please manipulate the camera so you can. It's a flake, an awful lot of points on top of it, so it's rough as hell. The problem is an awful lot of cereal is shaped like this. It can't be Frosties because my finger isn't getting stuck to it every time I rotate it. I think I'm going to need to taste this.
Ooh.
So that's
okay.
5 points lost immediately. Oh my god. Ugh. Okay. Right. Okay. So these are actually very good when you have like almond milk or something similar on them. When you have them dry, they're pretty disgusting at the best of times. They're bran flakes. I believe.
love bran
Yeah.
flakes.
Correct. Very good.
Oh, ding ding ding. That's 5 points.
They are awful. I'm
Oh.
not gonna lie.
They're so good.
Camera. A piece.
I love bran flakes.
Just want to
Okay.
point out, Enoch said, try holding it to the camera. That would help us to see it. But not
Yeah,
as
I
if
know,
Joe
but
actually can see the camera.
Yeah,
Is it?
as if I can see the camera or indeed anything else. It may just be a case of Jack manipulating it. So that's number 2.
I've shown a piece.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure, that'll work. It's a different kind of flake. These are the only things that our family ever eats. Okay,
Very much.
Flaky foods.
yeah.
Flaky
But they're
foods and pasta.
Well, it's a process of elimination, really, because there's only like 3 different things it could be, and we've already had one of them. And my fingers aren't getting stuck to every single piece, so it's got to be cornflakes, I'm
It is
guessing.
Very good.
Yay!
Yay!
Wow, you're
Yeah.
killing
Tie
it.
up my blindfold a bit more. That's a line I never thought I'd say on student radio, but here we are.
I was going to say.
It's going to happen at some point, Joe.
Mhm.
I thought I'd give you an easy one to end off with.
An easy one for number 3.
Oh my god! I
One of
remember
my
when
favourite
I did this.
Jack can't hear this, but the other co-hosts are extremely excited. Right. Oh. And I'm making that
Ooh.
noise because that is the shape of said cereal. Jack, you have skimped on the amount here. There's basically like 6 pieces in here,
You
maximum.
had one piece of each of them.
True. But their own shapes, they're vaguely sticky as well, which indicates obviously like a sugary coating. I've got to guess this before my scarf falls off. Cheerios.
Yes.
Oh,
Yay!
Yay.
oh, I'm baking under there.
And then you know what? To save waste, I'm going to have a small bowl of tricolor cereal.
Yeah, so Jack is currently leaving the room to enjoy what we are now referring to as cereal tricolor.
Very good.
That's beautiful, yeah. Oh, well done. You just-
It was
It's
only
okay.
going to happen.
It's okay. I can clean it up because I have not had my breakfast. Jack Spagnoli, thank you very much. 25 points.
It was a pleasure.
Well
Are you
done,
just
Joe. That
eating it
is
off the
probably-
desk now, Joe?
I'm
Yeah,
eating it
you
off my laptop, which may
Yeah.
even be worse.
Are you going to do a
Thank
Hoover?
Go full Nunu.
Go full Lulu. Anyway, that was Serial Killer. With Joe with his 25 points, which I think is generally the average that you scored across the whole.
Yeah,
whole cereal
I've never
killer.
got a perfect 3-0. Like,
I've done it once and got a perfect 3-0.
Yeah, I
saying.
think Rain was awful at
I
it.
was so bad because I didn't know any of their names. Also, the thing is, if it's not chocolate kind of cereal, I'm probably not having it.
Anyway, it is now probably time for a little maybe traffic and weather update.
and some
Hey.
news as
You're
well, I
quite
suspect.
famous for these. But
Well,
I don't know how well they're going to work as we're obviously not all together in the same place.
Completely
Okay.
different parts of the country.
Well, Carl, yeah, so Carl hasn't. Carl, if you want to get the traffic update ready for wherever the hell you are, because it's not like it's going to be any use to us stuck at home anyway. I can take you through the weather if you like.
Yes, we need some Joe Sarkey weather.
Oh no,
update.
what about we can have weather from all different parts of the world?
We can.
Oh,
I will get the
the
weather in
world.
mind.
We can have the weather for it coming from North Shropshire.
Wait, how about I look up a random city and then I tell you the weather in that city?
Oh yes.
Then do we have
But
to
can
guess
it be
what city?
anywhere? Wait, do it so
Nominate
it's
a
not
city
just
in the
the UK.
comments.
Anywhere.
Just
I
in
have
the
a few.
world.
I have a few different figures if that helps for weather. Google obviously defaults to one, but if you want me to go, I can go right now.
Yeah, if
Okay,
you want to know
you
the
go.
weather where you live in the comments section, drop a
Oh,
comment.
yeah.
We'll tell you the
Drop it in
weather.
the comments and we will give you the weather because we are so unprepared with the weather.
I can't believe we're already asking people for weather requests a quarter of an hour into this abomination. But beginning your Monday morning weather update for Preece in the UK, a place that I'm not actually that close to. It's currently 13 degrees Celsius with precipitation at 9%. That's right, Carl. I still use that word. 77% humidity, wind approaching 21 miles an hour. Highs this afternoon. I mean, it doesn't even say. Supposedly highs of about 16 degrees at roughly 5 p.m., which is not normally how the sun works. Lows of about 13, where we are right now. Moving ahead to Tuesday, the weather will rise to a high of 18 degrees, but it's still going to be cloudy all over. That is, of course, a metaphor for the experience of living in North Shropshire. In Wednesday, the rain is finally going to start falling with highs of 18 and lows of 11. Wind at only 8 miles an hour. Unfortunately, very heavy rain, which will continue on to Thursday and Friday and Saturday. We're moving ahead to Sunday. Highs still only 19 degrees, so the heat wave is well and truly over in North Shropshire. I mean, the only heat wave we get for about 8 years, and it's over before I can enjoy it. Precipitation only at 20%, because of course it's been raining for 4 days straight. 19-degree highs. It says that there is definitely an icon for sun. Unfortunately, it's behind some very heavy clouds. So if you happen to live in North Shropshire, so in other words, if you are a cow or a pensioner, that is your weather update. As for Bogota, Colombia, it's actually colder today. Bogota, it's actually colder than it is in North Shropshire right now. Highs of it's 11 degrees Celsius right now. Highs of 20 throughout the day. It didn't occur to me, being several thousand miles west, it's still nighttime in Bogota, so of course the weather's going to be cooler than here. And for Vostok, Antarctica, the current weather is minus 58 degrees Celsius. Air quality is described as fair, and the weather described as cloudy. So if you're a penguin, unfortunately, it's going to be a cold one, just like every other day.
It's a fun fact. I didn't know this, but Antarctica is the driest place on Earth.
No, it isn't.
It is,
I mean,
according to a pub quiz
'cause-
I did the other
because
day.
ice is not water, therefore there is no water there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
but I was like, it's melting, so surely it's not. Right. I don't know.
Not at Vostok, the coldest place on Earth. If you have a place that you want to know the weather for, you can of course go into the comments section and ask us, or you could go on Google and find it out for yourself.
Your engineering is.
Oh no, I'm gonna search up. I'm gonna search up. Let's
There
get.
are several ovings in.
It's Buckinghamshire for this one.
Buckinghamshire. I've got Chichester, so is that
Okay,
Aylesbury? Yeah.
So Oving in Buckinghamshire, 15 degrees now, and cloudy with a less than 5% chance of precipitation. And throughout the day, it's pretty much going to be cloudy all day, reaching highs of about 18 degrees. So not too bad, with sunny behind cloud with sunny spells. Not too bad, actually. You're going to hit the height of your day about 1 or 2. So make sure you get in the garden, put on some sun cream, and sunbathe under the sunny spells.
Wow.
Yay! And then the weather in Honduras, it's currently like 15 a.m. and the sun is yet to rise. You will be expecting mad thunderstorms from 11 a.m. till the end of time, it seems. There'll be a splash of sun between 7 and 11 a.m. with highs of 27 and lows of 17.
I
That has
believe
been your
what
weather
we've,
update.
what we've reported on is tropical storms in a part of the world where it is currently the rainy season.
But yeah, so this was your weather update.
Wait, there's one more request. Someone requested the weather in Moscow. It's
Moscow,
20
let's find this out.
It's 20 degrees Celsius with 0% precipitation and 40% humidity. Yeah, there you go. Oh, it's gonna be Thursday's gonna be quite nice weather there. So if you're planning a trip, 27 degrees.
Right, I'm off to Moscow. See you all soon. Anyway, so as this show usually has a lot of music in it, we like throwing out our recommendations. I thought we could talk a little bit about music recommendations for the listeners that we've heard during lockdown, perhaps things that come out during lockdown. I know Dua Lipa's album came out not long ago, which absolutely slaps. There are so many good songs on that album, and I don't know if you've heard it, but this man called Ben, he remixed her song Hallucinate. There it is. Rin's got the vinyl of it.
Thank you, Joe.
And
Correction, I bought her the vinyl
Yeah.
for it as
Oh,
a birthday
yeah.
present.
I didn't get Rin anything. This is your birthday present, Rin.
I mean, it was during lockdown, so
Yeah.
you know, if I'm not going to give it to you in person, then I'm just not going to give it to you at all. Obviously,
I mean,
I'll give you a
sure,
birthday. I'll give you a birthday present when we're back next year. I promise.
Oh, you
'Cause you
don't
definitely
have
got me
to.
something,
You
so I
don't
have to.
have to.
Them's
I
the
just
rules.
wanted to flex that I have it. You don't have to.
You just made everyone in this chat feel bad. That's what you have.
Oh
actually done.
no!
Apart
Well,
from
I mean,
the person who
not
bought
me.
it.
apart from Joe,
Not me.
yeah.
I was generous.
Yeah, well, I was lazy, so which one's more characteristic of who?
So yeah, any music recommendations from lockdown?
The new
Who's going to
Eurovision
go
movie.
first?
Oh my
I
god,
can
no, I
look at
have to
this
talk
first.
about this. Listen,
no.
the new first of all of the new Eurovision songs, but the Eurovision movie, oh my goodness, the soundtrack is incredible. 10 out of 10, it's amazing. Go listen to Ya Ya Ding Dong, which is the best song I've ever heard. I promise you will not regret it.
Okay, so
That's
my
all I
question
have to
about this, right?
recommend.
What kind of genre of film is it? Is it a comedy? Because I looked at it, I was like, why on earth is Will Ferrell in it?
Yeah.
It is a comedy. It's a quote a feel good movie, and yeah, you can tell Americans made it because some of it just doesn't really make sense. But I'd say overall, apart from the fact that they messed up some Eurovision specific things, I'd say it was really, really good. It was amazing. I'm ready to watch it already, and I only saw it like 2 days ago. So
I saw some mixed reviews about it. Like people were saying it was a flop, and some people were like, "Yeah."
I feel like the people saying it's a flop don't understand the Eurovision. The Eurovision Song Contest isn't about like necessarily really high quality things. It's about embracing who you are, and it's about the memes, and that's what the movie did.
Okay, I think I will check that out actually because obviously I do love Eurovision, but I'm not a big fan of Will Ferrell. So Ferrell.
I did.
Pharrell.
I heard that. Why do people not like Will Ferrell? What's wrong with him? Like I never.
Everything.
I think-
What is it? I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I don't understand either. I like Will Ferrell. Like, is it like what is there not to like? Do you not like Anchorman? Do you have some beef with that, or do you have some beef with Step Brothers? Two of like some of the most classic comedies ever.
I don't know. It's
No.
probably Elf. Going
Yes.
back to Elf.
What a
Only
film,
Elf.
though.
What?
We
I'm sorry,
love
that's
Elf.
like one of the top 3
Baby, it's
Christmas.
cold outside.
Okay, well, I'll have a watch of it and let you know what I think later. But Joe, what about you?
Yeah, so the moment that my coursework, which by the way almost killed me, was over, I went back and listened to, I think, about 20 albums that I'd missed over the last few months while I was working. 2020 has actually had some pretty good stuff coming out. A lot of buzzers come out, obviously about Dua Lipa, but in terms of pop, the new Charlie XCX album is also very impressive. Current pop album of the year, though, if you're into that kind of thing, the Rina Sawayama's debut album, which got a 5-star review from Born Music, I think. Go and listen to that. It's so goddamn amazing. It's like if Ariana Grande wasn't ruined by rubbish lyrics and really poor production. It's genuinely that good. Because Ariana Grande frustrates me so much. She could be so much better than she is, but Rina Sawayama is already a brilliant pop star. As for other albums that have come out that are really impressive, the new Eve Tamor album, Heather to a Tortured Mind, which was recommended by Max Gentleman of Core Lineage, and of course former president of Warwick Rockstock, a good friend of ours. He recommended it to the Raw Music Chat, and it's so goddamn good. As for the one that came out a few days ago, which has become my album of the year, the brand new Phoebe Bridgers album, Punisher,
Oh yeah.
is the most impressive thing I've heard this year. So goddamn good. Go and listen to all of those, and indeed so many more. We haven't had like a truly magnum opus album this year yet, I don't think. But honestly, considering the global conditions, we're doing a lot better than we could have been.
Wait, Joe, I have to bring this up. How can you say pop album of the year without saying Lady Gaga's name?
Oh,
Chromatica is incredible. Like, every song on that album is good.
I actually have not listened to it all the way through yet, although that might be more a case of I couldn't get through the whole thing in one sitting yet. I will do at some point.
Yes, Jack South.
we
Oh,
have
what is
someone
it?
from,
Jack South.
Jack South who says clearly
We
Joe
love
hasn't
it.
heard of Shikari's new album.
I have heard Ensha Shikari's album. It's very impressive. However, I was going to leave fangirling over that to Carl Henningway, this man.
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
man, it's a
what
sick album, though, isn't it? It is such a
got-
good album.
We've got a recommendation from Enoch who says the 12 Wars World Tour soundtrack
Yes.
is his anthem of lockdown, clearly. I have nothing to say about that. I have not listened to it.
I think the
I'm
best
gonna
thing
have
to
a
do
look.
with that, the best thing to do with that is to move on swiftly.
Yes, I think so.
But there have
Um,
generally been some amazing albums out though, and just music in general, because Nothing But Thieves are releasing some good lockdown music, and
Yeah.
Shikari's, that was before. I don't know if that was before or during. It all came out in the vague sort of time. You got Idols announcing the new album which is going to be released, which I'm crazy excited for. I've already pre-ordered 2 different types of vinyl of it. The Sports Team album genuinely is brilliant. I'm a massive fan of the new Sports Team album, and some great music is coming out, and I'm very much here for it, despite the fact that they don't really have the usual level of sort of ability of the production, the studio. A lot of it is being recorded at home, and I really love that. Everything is turning into DIY, and as a massive punk fan, that just brings me so much joy.
Oh,
That's quite cute. I listened to the 1975's new album, Notes on a Conditional Form. I listened to John Kennedy on Radio X doing like a playback through it with Matt Healy. And as much as I love the 1975, Matt Healy is one of those people who's like, yeah, we just kind of like go with the flow and make our sound. I'm like, oh, shut up. But it is a good album. It is a really nice album to listen to, actually. It's got kind of a very different, they've got like a very rocky track on there, and then it just goes into like usual 1975.
Please don't tell me that rocky track is the punk one that they did, People. That is
I have no idea what it's called. I actually know none of the names of the songs, but I listened to the whole album, and then there's one that's like, I think it's one of the first ones.
Is
I
it?
remember.
It's like people like people. They were. Eddie, I hate
Oh
that song.
yeah, that's
Awful.
it. Yeah. Anyway,
It was covered by an actual punk band and another actual punk band, and it actually sounded good when they did it.
yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Banter.
Yes. Well,
Can I just
don't
have
know-
one more song before we move on, though?
Yes.
Because I completely forgot to mention it because I was too busy fangirling over Sports Team. The J Huss album that came out this year, quality album. One of my favorite albums of the year, Big Conspiracies. I really like it, and I when I put it on, I was just expecting, oh yeah, I've not really listened to J Huss out of prison now, doing his music, and I was like, fine, he's one of the big names in the scene. I wasn't expecting much, but honestly, that it just consolidates how much of a massive part of the scene he is, and how huge he is, and like how instrumental he is to the movement of the scene and where it's going at the moment. I actually love it. It's so many different collabed artists, and it's so worth a listen.
Okay. I don't know if X1 from Raw, Jacob Medenge, is suggesting we make a single.
Oh yeah, I'm down for that.
But we'll get back to you on that.
Oh no, we're definitely doing it. Don't worry. I promise.
Oh no, we've come
Really
halfway close. We've come halfway
Yeah.
close.
Carl and I have made a track that's on YouTube.
Oh, true.
To be fair,
Yeah.
that is the only song that we could play on this show because we own the rights to it.
Well, yeah, on a state.
Do
channel,
a-
he does.
Yeah, do a live performance. There you
Yeah,
go.
no.
God.
The lag will be awful.
Yeah.
What's the
Anyway,
song even
that was-
called?
It's called I'm Lucky.
Yeah, that one.
Anyway, that
I
has
just play
been
guitar. I don't know anything else.
our music recommendations for the morning. I think we're going to move on now to one of the favourite features that we had during our live shows. It is time for our sim story. possibly.
I need to set this up. I'll be back with you in a sec.
Okay.
Well,
should
actually
we
just
catch
ducked
up?
out.
Yeah. Wait,
I'll be back.
should we tell people what actually happened so far? Not that I remember, but basically Joe made us in The Sims, and we had dogs as well. That's all I remember. I remember the day he came in, he was like, "We now have dogs." So
Yeah. We had Nugget, who was a dog that I looked after in Leamington, and then Joe also made another dog called Rocco.
Yeah, I needed a dog for my own because Nugget wasn't enough of a guard dog for the house. Yeah, so just to clarify, our Sims story, or as I like to call it, my excuse for spending £110 on Sims 4 expansions. We can actually do it behind you. You have a visual reference for the first time ever. So the idea was, after the Christmas special that we did for the last ever Morning Glory that was broadcast on Raw, on the Christmas Day broadcasting, we do a lockdown edition based on the idea of removing the front door to the property and just sort of seeing what happens. Just as a visual reference, I'm of course on the Xbox One because I'm poor. I'll show you. Rin's sighing is so painful. You
Hang
can
on, I'm
see
gonna
in
see if I
screen.
can. I'm gonna see if I can
Yeah.
make it bigger. I think I
Actually, I'll
might have to
move.
remove. I'm gonna
Yeah,
just
I mean, this
remove
is about the
Make-
us from the
Can you make
stream.
him full screen?
You can do sort of, yeah, that'll probably work for a bit. So you can see my room here, which is red because I made the mistake of reading 5 pages of 50 Shades of Grey. You move over to this one, you will see Rin Dashova's room, which is scientifically themed. You've got Maya's room here, which has a double bed over the closest thing I could find to an Aladdin carpet because she's obsessed. You can see us around the kitchen. You'll notice us because we do not look like anything like our real selves. And Carl's bedroom over here, which for some reason has a single pink bed in it as well. En suite, it's an incredibly opulent piece of accommodation despite the disgusting yellow lurid furniture. That's basically a tour of the flat. You don't need to know any of the details in particular. We've spent an awful lot of money. So guys, come back onto the stream, please, and I'll take you through what hell happened in this lockdown phase of our flat in The Sims 4. Unfortunately, the whole point of the feature was kind of ruined by the fact that we don't actually live in a house. We're living in an apartment in one of The Sims 4's expansions, which meant that I genuinely couldn't remove the front door. But I did try to simulate lockdown conditions by making sure that none of us had jobs. I, of course, left my job as some kind of journalist several months ago because I'm like that. So all of us have technically been furloughed, although The Sims doesn't have a furlough scheme. Although in being furloughed, that means that Maya has been furloughed as a doctor, which makes about as much sense as Maya being a doctor in the first place. The only thing I could do in terms of locking down the house was to just lock the front door from anyone else, but it means that we could still go out whenever. So much like most of the UK, we can break lockdown whenever we seem to think it's okay. There was, of course, one sticking point in this is that we managed to get Carl a girlfriend over the course of the term of doing this. We can't really keep her away from the flat deliberately because Maxis haven't currently added a stay-at-home, stay-alert dialogue option. So in the spirit of Ariana Grande, I asked Carl, said to Carl, break up with your girlfriend, I'm bored, which being Carl, he did almost immediately, so she's not going to be a problem either. What was also good is that when I locked the door, I could specifically disable access for different social groups, including friends, neighbours, vampires, and curiously, solicitors. I've no idea why that's even an option. But what I thought was when I came up with the idea that without jobs, money would be an issue for us. Unfortunately, I'm actually an author in the game and have written several things, which is probably how I would have ended up if my professors on my course hadn't been a bunch of washed up hacks who didn't know how to teach. So I get daily royalties from everything I've written before, which means that these three have basically been living off my royalties like a newly discovered oil field. So we haven't had any financial difficulties. We've moved. I simulated a week of the game, so we can go through this pretty quickly. I started on Monday evening, which is where we are now, exactly a week on. Maya's mood on the lockdown being declared was flirty. I mean, lockdown hasn't done that to me in real life, Maya. But if that's what you're into, then honestly, sure. The biggest issue I had maneuvering around the flat was that the 2 dogs we've somehow ended up living with aren't really that controllable. I wish there was a reason that we had these 2 dogs in in the first place, but honestly, it's because I bought the Cats and Dogs expansion and have not yet forgiven myself for doing so. So they need to be there. Whatever
It's
the
such a
case,
great expansion.
it's really not. Whatever the case, it does mean that I can finally simulate living with creatures that do nothing but eat, sleep, and defecate without, contributing anything to the flat as a whole. In addition to these, we also have 2 dogs. We got a notification in the top right of the screen that Rin, and I emphasize this was just Rin, should start thinking about further education. Not the rest of us, despite the fact that Maya and I have genuinely just graduated from 3-year honours courses. Only Rin is worthy of this, apparently. We go ahead to Tuesday morning. I was really worried that our Sims were no longer representations of ourselves because we've become so opulent in such a nice flat. But then I woke up and my character immediately brewed a pot of coffee. So clearly art imitates life in some way. Maya's initial COVID flirtiness was waning already. She woke up decidedly uncomfortable, but still managed to cook us all a breakfast of macaroni and cheese. Well done, Maya. Macaroni and cheese. I am a lactose intolerant man, and yet the choice of pasta offends me more than the fact that mac and cheese would make me sick. You've managed to make.
Are you vegan in the game as well?
No, I am vegetarian, and I had to buy the City Living expansion in order to make my character a vegetarian. The odd thing is that when washing up, all of us took our plates to different sinks because apparently that's how you sterilize in lockdown conditions. And we did this automatically as well. But the great thing about that is we realized the potential for infection from COVID-19, but not quite enough to not eat food from the same plate and dish because our Sims are as stupid as us in real life. Maya, being a so-called foodie, was let down by a disappointing drink that she got from the fridge. Disappointing drink, presumably brewed by the Warwick SU's bar staff. The most exciting development of the day, as is very much the nature of COVID-19's lockdown, was Carl discovering the perch type of fish. As we've already touched upon in the show, Carl is actually into fishing in real life. So well done, Sims 4. You've copied that pretty well. Wednesday, the sink was broken, and all that Rin and I would do for the first hour was just stand around the sink talking, not doing anything about it while water was leaking across the flat. I had to let the dogs outside to, quote, go potty, because this game is for everyone, and they did come straight back. So that means the dogs are also immediate super spreaders and have broken lockdown before any humans have done. So the dogs will presumably be heckled on social media for going outside for the next few months. Carl managed to wake up, quote, tense because he's lovelorn. The quote that I got was, romantic Sims need to show love and have it shown to them. Carl is literally in the same flat as all of us, but apparently we're not good for him. In the space of 2 in-game hours, Carl managed to break 3 different things. Guess who had to repair them? You're right, it was me. That's better than Maya, though, who proceeded to mop up water puddles next to the broken sink without doing anything about it, which meant that they kept coming, and she spent the entire afternoon doing nothing else. What was ruined immediately, some random guy who I don't even know just walked in, and it took most of the afternoon to try and get rid of him, and you may even see him around. He's right there. He hasn't left, and I genuinely can't get him to leave no matter what I can do. He's playing with the dogs. Yeah, he must be the original super spreader.
The dog is just going in circles.
Look, lockdown makes Rocco crazy. We all know this. Rin went out to walk the dogs, so she was absolutely no help towards this, nor were Maya and Carl. But when I tried to talk to him to kick him out, he must have been such a boring individual that my character stopped speaking to him automatically, preferring to empty the kitchen bin rather than socialize with this guy. Very little to report on Thursday apart from our emotions. I was fine, which is how I respond to every single person asking how I am at any time. Rin was playful, simply because I don't know. Carl was flirty. What else is new? And Maya was uncomfortably wet as a result of walking the dogs. I am not making that up. That was what the game described.
Was it raining?
Friday morning. It was raining outside, presumably, but you came back just to repeat that. That's uncomfortably wet. We woke up on Friday morning. Every single one of us had become ill in the night. So that might just be proof that breaking lockdown actually does cause COVID-19 infection. It was an instant infection, though, no 2-week incubation period here. I bought medicine off the internet because that's never gone wrong before in the history of humanity. And it was an instant recovery. And the medicine apparently makes you energetic, which makes it unlike basically any other medicine actually existing on planet Earth.
Can we get it in real life, please?
Yes, it costs 75 simoleons a shot. I don't know what the exchange rate is for that because, of course, Brexit is not simulated in this game. I decided to simulate the easing of lockdown as roughly proportional to the real UK, which meant that, in other words, we eased it far more quickly than it was medically safe to do so. And it meant that we could go to the town gym to actually exercise again, an opportunity which Rin and Carl were so excited about that they decided to do nothing but sit on the couch for 4 in-game hours rather than taking advantage of the opportunity. Saturday, it's worth pointing out that sim behavior in The Sims 4 is influenced by 6 sliders which descend if you don't do anything about them, one of which was fun, which, of course, as with real life in lockdown, was the one suffering the most. I had to satisfy the couch surfing habits of basically you guys by buying up a load of stuff with my royalties to improve the flat, which is already ridiculously expensive to live in, a massive flat screen TV, which you will see there. It basically fills up half the screen, amongst other things. So that's a massive amount of money spent. We've also got a science table in Rin's room, which is basically useless unless she's using it to make a vaccine for COVID-19. The first time we've been outside together, we took the dogs for a walk around town. We can't actually travel further than that, of course, with travel restrictions. But for such a momentous occasion, absolutely nothing happened the first time we left the flat. But at least Maya didn't get uncomfortably wet from canine companionship this time. Sunday morning, honestly, only one thing happened, but it is the most morning glory thing possible. Carl is our designated chef, but as per usual, Maya decided to make us breakfast, burning down the kitchen as she did so. As the Inferno came to an end, I had to dip into even more of my royalties in order to replace said materials. Rin was the first one on the scene, decided to cook breakfast after Maya had screwed it up, and in true Rin Dachiva fashion, also burnt down the kitchen without a moment's warning. So this whole exercise has been incredibly painful, incredibly expensive, and having to deal with our characters' constant need for more fun in their lives. This hopefully concludes our Sim story forever. Thank you.
No, not forever, but thank you, Joe.
And I can move this around now and actually turn off my Xbox, so thank you.
We've
Joe.
had
Forever.
from Enoch who says that Joe is PewDiePie
Yep.
because of your
I mean-
fantastic gaming setup. And also, the dogs are cancelled.
What, a
The
screen
dogs
on
are
the
not
console?
cancelled. Listen, what's your problem with the dogs?
I love how Joe became our sugar daddy at what? It's like for the entire thing.
You became all about
The great thing is,
burning everything
the great
down.
thing is, of course, that with my course, I am the one of us least well positioned to become a sugar daddy, and yet in The Sims 4 it has happened.
The petrol station treating you well, Joe.
£8.21 an hour. We love to see it.
21.
Oh, Jack said, "Is this technically fan fiction?" Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
It basically
Yeah, no, it is.
about it.
It is technically fan fiction, although it is my ultimate fantasy to have Carl do whatever I tell him to, because that's certainly not something he does in real life. But in The Sims, I can make it happen. But yes, thank you very much.
Well, on that spooky note.
We're going to launch into a brand new feature that I came up with during this lockdown because, in true lockdown fashion, I have nothing to do but just basically clear everything out of my room. And I found my diary from when I was 10 years old, maybe even younger. So this is time for an entry from Maya's childhood diaries. So yeah, this is the diary. It is purple with, as Joe said, European Union stars on it. It is secret because there's a little padlock on it. I don't have the key. But it
How
does
do you get in? Wrench
it
it off.
opens anyway. It's not
Oh.
it's a secure tight lock. And the inside is purple paper with it's a very sort of elaborate diary.
It's
I can't wait for
incredible.
10-year-old
I
Maya
want
to have-
one.
Also,
can't-
ironic that it says My Secret Diary on it, so that anybody is like, oh, is this your secret diary?
I can't wait for 10-year-old Maya to have better English skills than me now.
Oh, it's
Same.
very, I'm not sure. I mean, I've written, for some reason, I was a massive fan of the Christmas Carol We Three Kings, and I have written all of the lyrics to it, where I say lyrics, to it in the front in a pink pen, and there is some horrific spelling. But this starts about when I'm about, I want to say 7, but the particular entry I'm going to read is from 2009, March the 14th, at 6:45 p.m.
Oh, you didn't timestamp it.
Oh.
So amateur.
So
Captain's log.
I think I was 8. No, I was 9 at the time. Okay. I haven't felt like writing in my diary for a long time. That doesn't matter. Yesterday, I went to this police thingy. It's called Junior Citizen. There was this scary thing that happened in one of the activities. Basically, the police told us to wait where we are, and then they went down the corridor. A few seconds later, 2 people came out. One had a camera and the other had a newspaper. They were complete strangers and said they were going to take our photo and put it in the Metro newspaper. They asked for our names and our addresses. I only gave my name. No address? Why? Strangers! 2 vans were parked outside. They said they were going to take the photo outside. Before I had taken 2 steps away from the door, I heard a scream from inside. The police told us off for doing that, following them, and I thought that it was real. But then they smiled and said that we could smile, but not to tell anyone. But I'm telling you, diary.
What is going on?
Okay, I was going to say we need to read between the lines. We really don't need to read between the lines here.
That's not.
So people turned up in vans and
Oh my God.
took your photo and then asked you to tell no one else about it.
And asked for your address.
Hang on, I'll read the rest of it and then I'll say the context of the situation. Yesterday, I spelled diary as dairy, so I said
Cancelled.
dairy.
Joe is
Yesterday,
intolerant to your diary.
Yesterday, I also went to the cinema to see Marley and Me. It was sad at the end when the dog dies. I better go and wash my hands. They smell of onion.
It's like errant thoughts that aren't actually connected by anything just coming into the same sentence.
I finish it with bye.
They smell of onions. I cannot.
So yeah, that was one entry from my childhood diary.
Oh my God.
So the context of the situation was when I was at primary school, they took us to this thing called junior citizenship, which was basically like teaching us how to be aware of dangerous situations. So one of the things was like, oh, if your friend is drowning in a river, what do you do? If you're in a house fire, what do you do?
Save yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
If you
And
get
then
approached by
they-
people with cameras asking your name and address.
In a
What do you
van.
do?
But I was like 9 at the time, and I was so scared because they literally this policewoman like pinned this woman against the wall and was like, "Get inside!" I was like, "Oh." They're like, there were fans out there. They could have taken you everywhere. You could have been killed. And I was like, oh. So yeah, that was a fun day for 9-year-old me.
This is great. I think this is as good, if not even better, than your dreams.
You know the big fat quiz that Jimmy Carr presents, and they read out celebrity diaries, and Charles Dance from Game of Thrones and other things is the one that reads it out. I think we need to give Maya's childhood diaries similar treatment, but get raw icons to read them out instead.
Oh
Yeah, get
yeah,
like Barnaby Merrill in his deep
in the
tone.
deep voice. Yeah.
We get a dramatic reading of my 10-year-old self.
Well, it's nice. It's nice to see that but what is basically a prologue to the modern dream dissection is every bit as traumatic as I was expecting it to be.
There's one entry the end of one entry that I sent a picture to in the chat when I first found it, and I sent it also to my friend who said, "This just explains why you are the way you are." And I finished the entry with the tires on my bicycle were flat. So I couldn't go outside and ride on my bicycle. I feel like singing, so bye. And another friend made a good point: is who was I saying goodbye to?
The diary.
The diary,
clearly.
obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, but like, who? I had this whole idea that someone was going to find this and be like, "Oh my god, we'll read this amazing diary." But
You're talking to future you, technically.
Yeah.
I think that is mental. You could tell the future, mate.
Whoa.
You knew back when you were 9 that you were going to read this out for every single person to potentially see, or however many people are actually watching this stream. So a few. So you knew exactly what was going to happen.
I could see it. I was going to make it in radio, and I was going to, read this out on air at some point in my future life. But yeah, that was Maya's childhood diaries. A slight traumatic look back at the person I was.
And still am.
Still are. We are ever evolving. But yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left, I'd say, for the broadcast. I thought we'd have a little dip into the dreams of everyone else, as I am usually the ones with the strange dreams, but I think everyone's been having slight odd dreams because, I don't know, it seems to be a thing of not much mental stimulation happening outside of your home, so your mind sort of becomes its own prison. But this is Dream Emporium!
Yay!
Oh dear.
So who would like to go first?
I can volunteer to go first because I had one a couple of weeks ago, which is still extremely lucid in my mind. What's happened over the course of this period of low mental stimulation in which I had to write almost 30,000 words with said low mental stimulation? What's happened is that my dreams haven't necessarily become more overarching, but they've become a lot more cinematic. Let me explain. What happens is my dreams are not populated anymore by people I know, not that they normally were anyway, but by people that you'll recognize from the silver screen or indeed from cinema. So I had a dream a couple of weeks ago that was basically the COVID-19 Black Mirror episode. So there was a virus going around which had admittedly very different symptoms to COVID-19, symptoms of which included massive purple eyes and like blue horrible stuff coming out of people's mouths. But but much like the COVID-19 situation, you don't know you have it until it's too late with the incubation period. So I was one of either a child explorer or some kind of junior detective running around a town that definitely isn't my own, with a crack team trying to stop the virus, presumably by running around. The other two people I was with were not people I recognised, though. The two senior detective people I was with were Woody Harrelson and Michael Pena, of many TV and movies fame. I do distinctly remember an image of, it's in the dead of night, the majority of this dream, running through a hedge with Woody Harrelson. It's an image that I'm never going to be able to lose, although just as disturbing as Maya's own diary just a few minutes ago. And the way the dream ended was on a classic cliffhanger when I woke up. I don't know how my brain managed to do this, but a lorry turned up, very disturbing, and basically a drone flew out and in true Black Mirror fashion scanned the two people I was with, Woody Harrelson and Michael Pena, and they both had the virus, so they were buggered. It came out again. It started scanning me, but just before the result came out, a bullet hit it and destroyed said drone before I could get a result. Do I have the virus? Do I not? Did I catch it in the hedge with Woody Harrelson? We will never know. But I have not been able to get over this dream ever since it happened, and I'm quite worried.
Did I catch it in the bush with Woody Harrelson?
Oh, that is fantastic. That is certainly a dream to go down in the diary. But what about you, Carl? Have you had any
Not really. I apparently when I know that I have dreams, but then I wake up, I just forget every single sort of actual detail. So I'm really bad. I remember when we spoke about this, I was like, oh, cool, I have a dream that I could talk about. And because it happened last night, but then as the day went on, I completely forgot it. Didn't write it down. I have no idea what it was. I just kind of remember it was about buying shoes and not really being able to decide what shoe I wanted to buy, which makes sense because I've been looking at buying shoes recently. So it's not very interesting, really. But I there was always like some sort of weird plot twist about buying shoes. I was buying shoes, and then something happened, and I wasn't buying shoes. I was in fact buying vinyl records with, and then trying to chat someone up at the vinyl record store, which is just unequivocally something that you'd associate me with. But that is genuinely, I really have no interesting dreams, which makes me deeply sad, but also means I can completely listen to what you guys are saying and enjoy every word that you guys are uttering about what you've been thinking about when you've been asleep.
That's a good show. I had an odd dream a few weeks ago which Joe was in, and the weird thing is that every time I've dreamt like Joe has appeared in my dreams, he looks nothing like himself. Instead, he's got a deep tan and one diamond stud in his ear.
Joe,
So
you should live up to
basically-
their style.
Basically, me if I lived in Italy.
Basically. And it's just a very strange thing because there was it's like a very minor dream that I don't even remember that well. I was like in somewhere and then Joe was there and there was a doll's house. I don't even know the connection between, but I just remember Joe was tanned with a diamond stud. And then I had this other dream in which I just remember Joe was there with a diamond stud in his ear. And I was like, what is this? My mind just associates Joe with some deep Italian stereotype.
You and the rest of Raw 12:51 AM, as it turns out.
But yeah, that's all I have really for Dream Emporium. What about you, Rin?
Oh dear, I've been having really weird dreams, but like I only remember them for a few weeks and then I forget them. I think one that I had a week ago or something, which just the context will not surprise anyone at all because I've been watching so much. No, it actually wasn't. It was about Dance Moms, which I've been watching religiously. I even started like a 30-day free trial on some streaming platform so that I can finally watch it properly and not in other ways. But the dream was that basically there's these two dance moms that are Christy and Kelly, and they're the best, honestly. They're so funny. They're also insane. But essentially we went on a road trip or something, and I was in the front seat of the car, and I'm not sure who was driving, but it was one of them, and she was driving like it was mad. It was like Mario Kart. It was just going. We were on a highway initially, and then we sort of just turned and went through like some hills, and we just went really fast. You know how? Yeah, it was like it was actually insane. And then we went to this campfire, and like the kids had to perform something, and they wanted me to perform something with them, but I had to explain to them that I can't stretch because I'm not flexible at all, so I couldn't do it. But they wouldn't believe me. And then they were like, do the splits, and then I somehow managed to, and they were like, now you have to do it. And I can't really remember what happened after that, but I just remember there was this really, really big campfire. It wasn't like a small, it was huge. It was, yeah. It was a really bizarre dream. Most of what I remember is the car ride, because it was like some off-road adventure. Yeah.
So what you've created is basically a cross between a sort of not quite spaghetti western and like what sounds like the ending of Thelma and Louise when they drive off the whatever in the car, and something that's just completely different.
Honestly, I don't really know what's going on in most of my dreams. Like last night, I had a dream about bleaching my hair, which I really want to do. But what was happening was my best friend from my sixth form was there, and we were running through like Tesco or something trying to find bleach, and they were trying to kick us out. That was
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Carl, what are you eating?
Oh no, nothing. I'm not eating it. I'm just
Oh.
keeping it.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, I think that's all we really have time for.
We
But this has been a fantastic experience presenting with all of you on Morning Glory. I will be sad to leave. Carl has got a surprise for us, apparently.
He's muted himself.
That's not what I intended to do. I'm actually intending to change my mic.
this is
This is very exciting.
so we really are capturing the raw 12:51 a.m. technical difficulties expertly well in lockdown conditions.
You should be able to hear me now a bit better.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's happening. Okay. Just keep talking. You don't actually have to wait for me. This is like a background thing that's slightly less boring.
Okay.
Well,
Right.
there goes the Ofcom warning.
It's fine. Well, I didn't actually finish it. Yeah, we're neither a part of Ofcom now or even part of Raw now, so it's fine.
That is true. We're independent.
Sworn to the entire show.
No. Well, like literally, while we were like talking just at the end, I looked up like the world's easiest tab for Morning Glory. And it's apparently really easy. Oh no, I'm not going to play the actual thing. I'm literally just going to play the intro, like the intro bend, and that is literally all I'm going to do because I don't have time to actually practice it. So no, just keep talking, and I'll be in the background. How can I do that on a guitar, man?
No, I said, do you want me to be the helicopter?
How loud is that?
We can hear it. It's a weird
Yeah.
noise.
Oh, there's this word crackling.
That is apparently my idea of a helicopter noise. Oh.
That's literally all I decided to learn because it's one note and one bend. I mean, we can continue like chatting like normal. I'm just going to do this in the background. It's like.
Anyway, I put on our plan of outro tearful goodbyes.
Oh.
So.
There's not-
It's been a pleasure to
yeah.
present with you all, and I'm so glad that we came back for one last show. Yeah, and
All we
truly
can-
what a
yeah.
great passion, I don't know what to say.
I mean, all that we can really say is thank you so much for watching, because we actually know some of you have. Thank you very much for the comments and the engagement all along. Obviously, the show would normally be like 2 hours, maybe more if one of us, i.e. me, turned up half an hour early. Did someone call for the chief? Jack South, we always call for the chief.
Yeah.
But yeah, just it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much. First of all, to you guys for helping organise this and get it together one last time, and also just to everyone for watching and indeed listening to Morning Glory either last year or earlier this year. It's been so much fun to do it in any capacity, and we're just glad that we could maybe make your mornings a little bit more entertaining.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wanted to say thank you so much for like taking me on and sort of letting me stay and never leave. It's genuinely one of the best shows. I think it was the first show I ever did. So yeah, thank you so much.
Don't worry.
I mean, you basically saved us, so
Yeah, you did.
thanks in return.
We needed some new some new blood in our show to keep us going.
Yeah, we did hit a plateau at one
Yeah.
point.
And then we were like, but yeah, it's been such a fun time, and I will miss Raw.
Oh, we'll miss you too, Maya.
Cry.
Tearful goodbyes indeed.
Tearful goodbyes indeed.
Pentagon, hexagon, octagon, Morning Glory is gone.
No, not again.
All right, so I'm gonna end the broadcast now. If anyone has any objections.
You know
Alright,
what,
thanks.
Maya? All I will say before you finally click end broadcast is that this is a very characteristic botch link for the end of Morning Glory, and it is far from the worst that I have heard from us over the 2 terms we presented that show.
Oh, Enoch says we'll miss you. We'll miss you too.
I'll see you next year, mate. Like,
Yeah, you're not gonna let me either yet.
Anyway, thanks for watching and listening, and we will be in touch.
right, chill out, Joe. Don't cry.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
End broadcast.